Hello everybody. One of the things that you are going to want to know how to do as an up-and-coming airbrush artist is you're going to want to know how to become an airbrush mechanic. And I'm going to show you how this little device, this piece of machinery, goes together and what it is that you need to know. Now what I've done is I've loosened the tip over on this end a little bit so I'll be able to disassemble it and show it to you. Normally it's a little tighter than that, and I'm going to show you how you take the darn thing apart. First thing is you loosen this retainer on the back, then you can pull the needle out. The needle is something that you want to make sure that it's clean at all times, especially when you're done painting. Now if in fact you end up discovering you have dry paint on your needle, the thing that I recommend that you do is simply take a scuff pad and stab the needle straight in and out, and that will effectively clean the dried paint off of the needle without influencing a bend on the needle, which is going to put you out of commission. Then before you put the needle back in, dunk it in Vaseline or petroleum jelly or axle grease or greasy kid stuff, something to help the lubrication that's not going to interfere with the integrity of the paint that you use. And to take the darn thing apart, you start unscrewing this part here. This retainer is loose, and you pull this all the way out, and you'll discover that there are a couple of other little moving parts on the inside that you'll need to know about. I'm going to be real intentional because sometimes look, it came out. There's a rocker feature. This is the rocker that interacts with the trigger that's on the top that you have a relationship with. It's very important for that rocker to be in the correct location. And there's a spring on the inside, and that's what will bring the thing in and out. So it's always good to have a little Vaseline on the spring, just a little bit, just to be good about it. And then what we want to do is put this part back here that covers over the spring. Here's the retaining nut. We don't need to tighten it up yet. And let me show you how we delicately put this thing back together. Pay attention to this rocker thing. It needs to be leaning forward so that you can make it, and whatever you do, do not turn it upside down so that this trigger falls out. It's very difficult to get the trigger back in the thing. I'm putting it back together a little bit at a time. The tip of that rocker arm comes up and it rests on the back of our trigger. Then I can screw this thing back in here, and the way that I make sure that I get it to the right depth is I pull the trigger back, tighten it until it bottoms out against the back of this trigger, and then I know it's approximately where it needs to go. If you get it screwed in too far, it limits the amount of play that you get. To put the needle at the correct depth, just gently push it all the way into the end of the tip, because let me show you something. You take this tip off and you look, the brass tip here, if you jam the needle in too strong, it will actually bottom out and make the brass tip split. And if that has a split in it, it will influence the spray pattern and you will not be happy with it. And you can see that needle moves very little, and that's what influences the amount of paint that you get out. If you get just a little bit of paint or if you get a whole bunch of paint. This one happens to be a number 3. So this is like a medium range airbrush. There are other airbrushes that are smaller and larger that are designed to deliver different amounts of paint or pigment or ink. Now this tip here is something that you simply want to leave finger tight, because this is the thing that chokes the air that goes around both the tip and the needle. So there are times when you're going to want to have some influence over that choke, and you'll want to have the ability to finger open it out a little tiny bit and work a little bit, and then tighten it back up, and then work a little bit more. So one of the things that's very, very important for an airbrush artist to know is how to be a mechanic, because while you're using it, when you experience a problem, and you notice that I said when you experience a problem, you're going to need to know the steps to go through to fix the problem so that you can get back to painting. In a minute, I'm going to show you on another video what you need to know in regards to what I call the stroke. We'll talk about that in the next video.